House Baratheon of Storm's End. It is one of the great houses of Westeros, and is the principal house in the Stormlands, which they rule as Lords Paramount of the Stormlands. Their seat, Storm's End, is an ancient castle raised by the Storm Kings from the now extinct House Durrandon. Members of the family tend to be tall and powerfully built, with black hair and blue eyes, as well as strong, square jawlines. They are known for their mercurial tempers. But history of Baratheons is also a history of House Durrandon, the Storm Kings. The line of the Storm Kings dates back to the Age of Heroes, when their kingdom was founded by King Durran I Godsgrief, a legendary hero. According to legend, in the Age of Heroes, Durran won the love of Elenay, the daughter of the sea god and the goddess of the wind. Her divine parents forbade their love, but Durran and Elenay wed despite them. The god's wrath was terrible to behold, destroying Durran's keep on his wedding night, killing all his family and guests. Enraged, Durran declared war on the gods, who replied by hammering his kingdom with massive storms. Each time King Durran built a castle to face the sea, the gods destroyed it. King Durran persisted, building larger and more powerful fortifications, until finally the seventh castle stayed in place and resisted the storms of Shipbreaker Bay. Some believe it is because the children of the forest took a hand in its construction. Others believe that a young boy who grew up to be Bran the Builder advised Durran on its construction. For several centuries before the War of Conquest, however, power of Durrandons had dwindled. They had the Kings of the Reach at their west, who nibbled at their domains, and Dornishmen at their south. Harren the Black had taken over the Trident and those lands above the Blackwater Rush. King Argilac Durrandon had managed to stop this decline of land for a while. By the time of the conquest, however, Argilac had grown old, and his prowess at arms had faded. Argilac Durrandon was afraid of the threat of Harrenhal, the king of the Isles and the Rivers. 2 years before Aegon's conquest, Argilac reached out to Aegon Targaryen, Lord of Dragonstone, offering the hand of his only daughter Argella, with all the lands east of the God's Eye, from the Trident to the Blackwater Rush, as her dowry. Lord Aegon rejected the offer as he had 2 wives already and did not need a third, and the lands offered had belonged to House War for a generation. He countered with an offer of his own, those lands plus Messy's Hook, and the lands from the Blackwater south to the river Vanwater and the headwaters of the Mander. The pact would be sealed with the marriage of Argella to Orys Baratheon, Lord Aegon's childhood friend and champion. King Argilac angrily rejected the terms, as Orys was rumored to be Aegon's bastard half-brother. Enraged, he had the hands of Aegon's envoy cut off and returned to him in a box with the message, "These are the only hands your bastard shall have of me." This spurred the start of Aegon Targaryen's War of Conquest, where Aegon announced that he would be the only king of the Seven Kingdoms. King Aegon's wife, Queen Rhaenys Targaryen, and his hand of the king, Orys Baratheon, were sent to take Storm's End. In the battle called the Last Storm, Orys slew Argilac Durrandon in single combat, and the remaining Stormlander army fled. At the approach of Orys Baratheon and the Targaryen host, Argella barred the gates of Storm's End and declared herself Storm Queen. When Queen Rhaenys flew Meraxes into the castle to parley, Argella announced that the defenders of Storm's End would die to the last man. However, her garrison refused to share the fate of Harrenhal and revolted, raising a peace banner and delivering Argella to Orys's camp, gagged, chained and naked. Orys, however, removed the chains with his own hands, wrapped his cloak around her, and gave her food and wine. He spoke to her gently, telling her of her father Argilac's courage in death. Aegon rewarded Orys Baratheon with Storm's End, the rule over the Stormlands, and Argella on his marriage to Argella Durrandon, and to honor Argilac's valor, Orys Baratheon adopted the sigil and words of House Durrandon as his own. Robert Baratheon's father Steffon served in his youth at the court of King's Landing and became a close friend to his cousin, Prince Aerys Targaryen, later known as the Mad King. He fought in the War of the Ninepenny Kings, where his father, Lord Ormond, died in his arms, slain by Maelys first Blackfyre. After the defiance of Duskendale, King Aerys II Targaryen summoned Lord Steffon to King's Landing and named him to the Small Council. Later, Steffon was sent to Volantis to find a bride for Prince Rhaegar Targaryen. He was accompanied accompanied by his wife, Lady Cassana Estermont. They failed their mission and died upon their return when their ship sank in Shipbreaker Bay. Stefan's eldest son, Robert, inherited Storm's End upon Stefan's death, and in the years that followed was betrothed to Lyanna Stark of Winterfell. Prince Rhaegar Targaryen, Robert's cousin, disappeared with Lyanna Stark, causing Lyanna's eldest brother Brandon to ride to King's Landing in anger. He was arrested and killed together with his father, Lord Rickard Stark, on the command of King Aerys II. The king then demanded the heads of both Lord Robert as well as Eddard Stark from Lord Jon Arryn, as both men were in the Vale. Arryn refused and raised his banners, marking the start of the war that would become known as Robert's Rebellion. Storm's End is one of the strongest castles in the realm. It is said to be protected by spells woven in its very walls that prevent magic from affecting it or passing through it. Storm's End is surrounded by a massive outer curtain wall, 100 feet high and 40 feet thick on its thinnest side and nearly 80 feet thick on its seaward side. It is composed of a double course of pale grey stone with an inner core of sand and rubble. The wall is smooth and curving, the stones so well placed and so perfectly together that the wind can find no purchase. On the seaward side there is a 150-foot drop below the wall into the sea, and there is no safe anchorage by the castle. The curtain wall protects the castle's kitchens, stables and yard. Storm's End has only one tower, a colossal drum crowned with formidable battlements, so that from a distance enemies can see what appears to be a single huge spiked fist thrusting towards the sky in defiance. The tower is so large that it comfortably contains the granary, barracks, armory, feast hall, and lord's chambers all at once. The seaward side of the castle stands upon Doran's Point, a high white cliff overlooking the sea. There is a watery passage through a cavern that leads beneath the castle, protected by portcullis, bars, and murder holes. The godswood of Storm's End has a weirwood heart tree carved with a solemn face. The words of House Baratheon are, "Ours is the fury."